Hi everyone, it's me, Amy. Hello to Dave and all the empaths. Hopefully I'll get this video right. Okay, let's start here. Narcissism has been been the cornerstone of the pain and the difficulties in my life. My dad is a narcissist. I wish I would have known this a long time ago. I've gone through so much as far as healing and looking into healing and repairing relationships with him. I'm 64 now, and really I have had one fairly good relationship with my late husband. And he died he died 1 year and 2 months after we were married. Now we get to the current narc here. And right now I'm going through a hideous smear campaign. It's unbelievable. I can't believe the hate that is being projected my way by these flying monkeys. What happened was I was punished because I tried to move away from my home about a year ago. And I didn't tell the narc. We were not living together, but we had separate apartments in the same apartment building. I had been with him 3.5 years. Well, I was picking up on vibes and such that he was grooming this new supply. And I didn't want to be part of it. I didn't want to watch it. I was tired. I was through of being put through this hurt. So I left. One thing came to another, and I ended up being, it's hard for me to say even now, but I was basically abandoned in western Oklahoma, in a small town. I didn't think I wanted the narc's help, but he called because my friend and his friend, I had told her what had happened and that I had been abandoned and needed to move on somewhere with my trailer, which I could not pull because my car wasn't heavy enough. Well, he got on the phone. He said he was coming to get me. I was still feeling confused, so I allowed it. We made it home. We worked together very well as a team. And it's funny how you can work well with a narc when they want to work together, but we did. We worked very well. I got home and I tried to get my old apartment back. That was not in the cards. So I was staying with my friend, who is also a friend of the narc, and I stayed there for 4 months, awaiting an apartment. My father lives here. He has an apartment on the 3rd floor here. I'm downstairs on the 1st floor, same floor as the new supply. How things work out, it's amazing, isn't it? Well, anyways, 2 weeks after I got back, the narc decided to dump me. I didn't know for sure at first because, I wasn't always checking in with him. And up until that time, we would see each other. He comes over to this complex to play bingo and to play cards. He's over here every single evening, and sometimes during the day. So we would talk and we were friendly. Well, suddenly out of the blue, I'm sitting at a chair where I usually sit, a table, and he would usually sit next to me. He had up until that day where he got up and left. Well, that gave me the hint that he was, ghosting me. And he told friends he was ghosting me. And he continued on with grooming this new supply right in front of my eyes where I could see. I even appealed to the new supply. I told her what our relationship had been, and I asked her to just back off a bit. Well, she claimed they were only friends, and up and down, even though she had sent him a text after we got back from Oklahoma. Her text said that she was shattered and betrayed that he went to get me. She was also mad at my friend that I was staying with for not telling her. She didn't figure out that the friend was in rehab and hadn't even gotten home until the morning we got back. So anyways, she did not let up. She continued to flaunt him in my face. And it really hurt. It hurt. And she or someone else, probably the narc, telling him, well, Amy and I didn't really have a relationship. And I found that out because at least one person accused me of not having a relationship with him. I have a card right here that proves that I did, but nobody wanted to believe it. Anyways, this went on with rumors of me being unstable. And actually, I was feeling very unstable at the beginning because I wasn't getting any closure. I had this woman flaunting herself and him in front of me, and him giving me the narcissist smirk. Well, in December of last year, I was at the lowest of low. And all of you guys know what it feels like to be, discarded by the narc. And yes, he brought me back just so he could discard me and to punish me the best he could. So I kept feeling like garbage. I'm like, why am I garbage? I feel like I'm just being tossed out with the garbage. And I thought through most of my life, I had fairly good self-esteem. But at this time, I didn't know that he was a narc. I didn't even know that my dad was a narc. I just knew that there was something wrong with them, that they couldn't love, and that it just was not normal. Nothing was normal in these relationships. And my relationship with this narc was even more abnormal than I had ever experienced in my life. So feeling at the very, very low and not having anybody to talk to, nobody wanted to listen to what I had to say. So I poured out Benadryl. It was the only kind of medication other than my regular medications that I had on hand that would either relax me or, in this case, I did want to die. I took a handful, and after that I stopped. I still can't believe that I was fully thinking I could actually end my life because of this asshole. I stopped right then and there. And I called Crisis Line. I did end up going to the ER. And they were assessing me to see if they should admit me to the psychiatric wing. And the woman who did the admissions came over and interviewed me. I told her my story. We got down to the end of my story. She folded up her laptop and said, "You're an empath." I'm thinking, okay, what does that mean? But I didn't voice it at the time. I mean, I knew generally what an empath was. So they didn't admit me. They sent me home. I have been on this healing path, and I did go into about 6-8 weeks where I had no contact with anyone here in my complex other than my dad, and to say hi to other people in the hallways and such. Guys, I still don't believe that I tried to do that. Don't ever do it. So, I think we'll bring it up to where I am now. But I've been fighting a smear campaign since the day I returned. The smears had been, we were never in a relationship. That one I just figured out that it may be that most of these people here do believe we were never in a relationship. I figured that one out yesterday. My friend, my best friend who lives here, Scotty, the woman I stayed with, she's 83 years old. And she's called Scotty because she was born and raised in Scotland during World War II. And anyways, with Scotty, she would tell me that I was being smeared, that people were coming up and telling her that I was unstable, and that I was causing all this drama. in the community. I didn't cause any drama. Between the new supply and the flying monkeys, I have been reported to the office manager 4 times. Last one being last week by the new supply. Well, somehow I got the idea, and with encouragement of a few other people around here, to run for president of the of our resident council. I've had experience doing committee work and being in a healthcare field my entire life, being a nurse, and also experience in working with seniors, which I now am one. I have the knowledge of how to, I have the knowledge on what seniors need. And I have the knowledge of how to obtain those resources for us. And yes, I was elected back in May. And then the end of June, I was feeling all these attacks, hearing that I was unstable. I never had, that, and no one would ever listen to me. Nobody would ever come up to me and say, "How are you, Amy? What's going on?" And, we have these rumors here. I guess because I tried to kill myself. I tried talking to these people and explaining to them what had happened. They didn't want to believe it. And actually, they claimed I was unstable before I even tried to commit suicide. That was part of what drove me to it. As well as that excruciating pain that we all have at the time, for the first few months after the discard and the trauma bond. At this time, I didn't know I had a trauma bond. I went to a therapist. They didn't, she didn't get it. And I started digging on the internet. I would put in silent treatment in relationships, treating people like they don't exist. I was Googling that. I came up with narcissists. I started delving into all the information I could find online, which led me to videos, and I knew what it was. I knew what I was up against. I finally had something that was helping me soothe my insides, helping me to feel that I wasn't crazy. I was not the crazy one. So, raising my head high, I went back out into the community, and I talked to people. I thought, it'd be a great diversion to get into being president of the resident council. So I talked to them. Well, do I run again? Don't I run again? what is going on. We went through the bylaws, and it said specifically that in the fall meeting, if I had resigned between May and fall, I would have to submit that resignation at that time, and the council would have to vote on it to approve it. So until there was a vote, I was still president. So I started planning, and on Monday the 8th, which was our regularly scheduled planning meeting, setting the agenda and such, I came out of my apartment and was waylaid by people telling me that there's no meeting. There's no meeting, Amy. It's been canceled. And I said, how could it be canceled? I didn't cancel it. I go and look at the posting I had on the wall, and it said, it was my posting, but they had crossed off of it and written underneath, no meeting today. And then there's all this commotion around me. Everybody's talking at once, and someone's going to check on some person, and I was told that there were people down in the community room that were gathering for the meeting. So I did go down there, and we started setting our agenda. Well, suddenly, about 10 other people come pouring in, and they're yelling and screaming at me that I'm not the president, and who do I think I am, and that I'm a liar. I'm nothing but a liar and a fraud, and I'm unstable, and I'm this, and I'm that. I thought, yep, okay, this is blowback from when I tried to expose the narc. The week before, I should go back and say one thing that helped me, because I couldn't get this through my head, how this man could lie. I did several background checks on him. I paid over $100 on several of these, and it came up with he had told me he'd been married 3 times. Well, I found a 4th. He never told me about that. This man went to Las Vegas with a woman from his hometown in southern Minnesota and got married in a religious ceremony. I was stunned. Even I didn't expect that. He had also told me and several other people of my friends and my father in this community that he had been a sheriff's deputy in Phoenix, Arizona, under Sheriff Joe Arpaio. He told many stories about that. Well, in all of my background checks, it showed that, yes, he did live in Phoenix, Arizona, with his 3rd wife, Sharla. But there's no record of him ever working for as a sheriff deputy. He worked at the Biltmore Hotel in Phoenix and a Hilton Hotel in Phoenix for a company that did food service work. He also told me he had been a truck driver. He drove truck for several people, several companies. First, he drove in the um, late 70s, early 80s. I didn't figure that would really show up. But he said before he retired, he had been owner-operator, and he had also, after giving up being owner-operator, he went on and decided to go back and work for a company. And he has a jacket that has the name of the company. And yes, I do see those trucks on the road. But there's no license for to drive semis. No trucking license to drive goods. No mention of this company or any other company in trucking. Well, I got the idea that I really wanted to expose this guy. So during bingo I did. He'd come pick up my coin and I'd say, "Hey, who's Cindy Sue?" Then he'd come back and I'd say, "I know you got married in Vegas." Come back and I'd say, to pick up the coin again, I'd say 4 times, "You lied." Well, this went on, that's what I said, and at the end of bingo, I went over to where my dad was sitting, who was sitting next to the narc and the new supply. And I just kind of looked over at the new supply and said, "Did you know that he's been married 4 times? 4 times, I said. She says, "I don't care." I said, "Well, I wouldn't care either, but the thing that I care about is he lied to me." And I looked over at him and I said, "There's nothing there about you. You are a nothing. Everything you told me was lies." He raised his voice and said, "Amy, go to your room. Go to your room, Amy. Go take medication." He's waving his hands and everything else. "Amy, you're unstable. Amy, go take medication. Amy, go to your room." I laughed and I said, "Gotcha." I said, "That's typical gaslighting, and you just proved where the rumor started from, that I was unstable." Well, lo and behold, the community didn't like that, or he started further in his smear campaign. I walked around a couple days feeling pretty good that I was getting my power back. I knew who I was. And I run into him in the hall, and he gives me the damn smirk and looks me straight in the eye, and it was like he was telling me, "You think you won, but wait." So anyways, that's why all these people came swarming at me, that I was not president, that the bylaws didn't make any difference, and this and that, and they were just screaming to all hell. And I felt so very attacked. So very attacked. And on Monday, just 2 days ago, I did because it wasn't clear at the time whether I was president or not. I had decided no way. I would have to have my head examined, and I really would be unstable if I were to take that position of president. So they had a potluck beforehand. I didn't participate in that. I went down at the time of the scheduled meeting, and I told them that I